Greetings, greetings, greetings. How's everybody doing? Long time no talk to, long time no see. I know. Um, but I genuinely hope everybody's doing well. I speak on behalf of Sunset Trei as well. I know we've been a little bit sporadic with our uploading and whatnot, but we're living life truly, living exceptionally. Shit. Um, and I hope everybody's doing the same. Like I was just kind of observing the other day. Hold on, I need to correct myself. I was just observing the other day how many people, just like people that I went to like school with, or that I just kind of grew up knowing, people that I've met along the way, observing how exceptionally everyone is living. It's crazy. It's so much abundance out here to be had, and I love seeing people like take full advantage of it, traveling, eating good, creating at a high level, or just whatever, making good money, spreading it around, spreading love, showing love, receiving love. Um, it's going to kind of serve as a little bit of a wrap up to 24. I feel like I didn't really send this year off or send last year off with any type of intention or reflection. And to be honest, I usually don't. Year to year kind of blurs together for me. And I just roll right into the next year and doing kind of the same shit. Not in a bad way or anything like that, but just, you know, continuing to live life. Nothing really is like resolution worthy. It's more so just like, okay, let's continue building on what we've built the past year. But I feel the need to do it this year or for 24 because I had like a lot of significant things happen. Um, Kind of starting at the beginning of 24, I really set the intention to move in a flow state of creativity. I wanted everything in my life to reflect that. And I hit the ground running. I mean, after I started working at the airport and got flight benefits, I mean, it was off to the races. And not only that, not only was it going places and linking up with people in other areas and, having that experience, but it was also being at home and linking up with creatives and, doing photo shoots, filming, having conversations with like-minded people, and also like just being in these spaces just felt it was so much happening at once. It felt so good. I didn't even like think that hard about it really until like the middle of the year. I was like, God damn, like I am doing something pretty much every week, every weekend. Just yeah, literally what I asked for, just flow state of creativity. Um, and then you couple that with like traveling, going state to state, seeing beautiful things, drawing inspiration, working on music, linking back up with like creatives from years ago. We're finally like aligning and hey, let's go to the mountains. Let's like create music. Let's film videos. Coming back home and being on the same ship. Yeah, it was just an amazing year. It was just an amazing flow state. And then fast forward a little bit, I get the opportunity to model for a brand that I've been using for like the past 2-3 years. Buddha butter, all natural organic products, getting to do a collaboration with them and having my friend, you know, creative director help organize it and put it together and bring the vision to life. It just felt like a full circle moment. But at the same time, you know, something that never happened before was happening to me. I was getting into, I was falling into the reality of uh, my grandmother being like deathly ill, and my nana, she was a fighter, bro. Like she had been sick for a while, you know. I lived with her for a long time, and I saw her various conditions get worse over time, but she never let that stop her from being a part of her community and talking on the phone with loved ones, getting up and out of the house, even when she was told, hey, you can't drive anymore, you can't do X, Y, and Z anymore. Okay, that's fine, taking in stride and move forward. But I watched, as her vessel began to fail her. And I watched the pain kind of build up over time. Excuse me. And it all kind of came to a head in November. Now, November was, it's my birth month. It's also the month I was doing the shoot for Buddha Butter. And it's also when I found out, like, more of the extent of what was going on with her. I went to visit her in Atlanta, and she had a little bit more pain than usual, but it was kind of business as usual in a sense. She was still herself. I spent time with her and just talked with her and stuff, and she was in some pain, but it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. I hate to say that, but yeah, it wasn't anything out of the ordinary from what it usually is. And so I went back home, and basically like a week later, my mom called me and she was like, uh, I just had to call the ambulance for Nana. She has to go to the hospital. Um, she wanted to go, and that was an unusual statement for me to hear because, like me, Nana hates hospitals. She will not go. It doesn't matter how much pain she's in, how she's feeling. She's going to avoid that at all costs. She'll sit and be in pain, sleep it off, take supplements, whatever. She's not going to the hospital. So when I heard that, she asked to go, I was like, okay, it must be serious. And so, I told her to keep me updated and stuff. I told her, I was going to come back down in a couple weeks. And then she told me, she had been admitted. And I was like, damn, and I'm like, what's going on? What's wrong? And she was like, they're running tests. They're not sure. But they think it's like some form of cancer. And I was like, man, like, it's crazy that, science has progressed so far, but still, you can have those moments where it's like you don't know really what the fuck is going on. They can't diagnose anything. It can't tell us anything beyond we think it's some sort of something. You know what I mean? And so they ended up doing a biopsy, and my homie, my childhood friend, I remember he was telling me, when he found out that they did that, he was really upset because he was saying that, I'm paraphrasing, but basically with biopsies, they poke a cell, they go in, they poke a cell, and if it's a cancer cell, it spreads faster. It's basically like you're agitating it or you're bursting it. So he was really upset. He was like, he feels like that was a contributing factor from where she eventually ended up. And I didn't know anything about it. I just thought, okay, they're trying to determine treatment. So literally like 2, 3 days later, my mom calls me and she's like, you need to come as soon as possible. They're transferring her to hospice. And I'm like, I'm literally like at a loss. I'm like, I don't even understand. Like, I just saw her 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? I just spoke to her when she was admitted, like 2 days before that. And she was just like talking normally. She was just normal. She sounded tired, but it wasn't like last days. You know what I mean? So when I hear hospice, I don't know like really anything about it. Like, this is my first situation of this magnitude of somebody close to me. Um, I've never even really thought about death or just like expiration. I've never been afraid of it for myself. I've never really thought about it because it hasn't been close enough to me for me to think about. I've never even been to a funeral, so it was just kind of like, damn, like it just happened so quick. It just happened so fast. So I'm like, all right, I need to get there. I leave. I leave out a couple days later. Actually, no, she called me, or I called and I talked to her while she was in hospice, and she was talking to me, and still she sounded relatively normal. When I think of hospice, I think of like, I don't know, just last moments, right? And it didn't sound like that. But I was talking to her, and she was like, when are you coming? I was like, I'll be there in a couple days. She's like, okay, because I have some stuff to talk to you about. And I'm like, okay, pretty much I know what that means. I know, I see the writing on the wall at that point. And so I get there, and I was just not expecting to walk in and see what I saw. Like, I kept my distance for like the first half hour. I can't even lie. I couldn't even walk over to the bed because I was just like, I was just honestly afraid. I just didn't even want to like experience that. I didn't want to see it, you know. Um, so I just observed her from a distance in the room, and then I finally walked over there. Um, she kind of woke up, but if you want to call it that, I mean, it's like a fugue state, like a daze, and she just was not. She was just basically like a corpse at that point, and I was just like, wow, like I literally couldn't believe it. I literally could not believe it. So that was just like a big shock to me to see her that way. And I just talked to her 2 days before, and she was talking. And at this point, all she could do was moan. I could tell she recognized me, but it was just like, damn, bro, like this is really what a failing vessel looks like. Like, this is what the last moments look like. Um, Yeah, so I went home, or I went like back to my mom's house, and she ended up passing the next day on the 20th in the morning. And my mom came up and told me and everything, and I was just like, after my initial about an hour or two of seeing her in hospice that way, I kind of made my peace with it. You know, um, I knew at that point it was, it was last day or two, and I just became comfortable with the idea of it. Um, so when I got the news, I was just like, okay, I have to accept and redirect my energy into celebration and not mourning. And the reason I did that was because that's how I would want my loved ones to do for me. Like, I don't want people to mourn me. I want celebration. I don't even, to tell you the truth, I don't even really want a funeral for myself. I want people to come together and celebrate what my life was. Um, especially if it's just like, okay, my body is ready to expire, and I'm ready to move forward consciously. And I know that's where she was at. She was in a lot of pain, and she did talk to me at times about being ready to go, really. I mean, just, kind of waiting. And, you hate hearing that. You don't want to hear somebody accept their mortality. But at the same time, I understood where she was coming from, because I feel the same way. Like, if I, God forbid, if I, became handicapped, or I became incapable of being myself, my best self, if I was in pain every time I walked, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't breathe, I'm coughing up, you know, various fluids from my lungs failing, or I can't see, these are all things that she was dealing with. And if I ever got to any of those points, like, I'd be ready to go as well, honestly. So I did get it. It's just hard hearing it, because you love this person, that's the kind of relationship you have. Um, so I go to the funeral, and it's even weirder seeing an open casket of somebody you just talked to 3 days before. That is like the wildest shit ever. Like, I literally didn't even realize that was like a thing. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't have to view her, like, but of course you do. It's like customary, I guess, and it's just like, wow. But then uh, something happened that even further reaffirmed how I felt about the situation, as far as like celebrating her life. Um, this is the first time I've been to church for like any reason outside of my mom like getting married a few years ago. I really, like, I haven't heard a sermon though, and like, I don't know fucking how long. Like, I have not heard a preacher preach in like the longest time. So beyond everybody giving these words of just like how much she meant to them, and family, friends, everybody just like expressing what kind of light she was, and the preacher did the same thing, and he was just like, he echoed my sentiments. Like, she was a fighter, regardless of all of the pain that she was in. She was still gonna be right there in church with her community, and laughing and fellowshipping with her friends, and not 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 letting her pains rub off on other people. She was always just like a super, super bright light. She could extend light to anybody. It's something that I never thought about that hard until after the fact. But she had a lot of capacity for people, like family members, distant cousins, close relatives, friends. Like she was like this central glue and like shining force in all of their lives. And I was like, damn, like that's crazy hearing it from an outside perspective and then looking back on it. And like they did like this slideshow of like her, she was born in the 50s. So like she was around for a long ass time. So it was just like seeing all of these like old photos of her, like looking the exact same as far as like the smile and like the exuding this thing of like just magnetic force of people coming around her and just like, yeah, like that shit was crazy. That shit was so crazy. And he was just basically saying like she never dimmed her light for anybody. And that shit just like resonated with me so strong. I'm not always the best at showing up and making my light as vibrant as possible around people. I get exhausted so easily when it comes to just like, here you go. Like, here's me. Here's networking. Here's spending time with friends. Here's videos. Here's music. Here's expression of any, like, it's really hard. Like I'm very much like, I need to reset and recharge. And part of the reason I do that is so I don't let my negative, feelings of those moments or whatever. It's not really negative. It's just more so like somber. It's more so just like low. I don't want people to feel that coming from me, but I know sometimes it happens, because sometimes I put myself in situations where I'm around people, I'm around family, or I'm around friends, and I'm like, I'm just not trying to do it that day. I just don't have no energy for real to spare. But something that just stuck with me about the whole ordeal was like, regardless, like she was in a way worse position than I ever have been. I feel depressed sometimes. I feel low energy sometimes, but I'm not like hurting. I'm not like bone cancer. I'm not cataracts. I'm not lung disease. I'm not any of these things. I'm healthy. I'm strong. Like I can do whatever I want to do in life. I have all of these blessings that come in so often. I have all these privileges. Like there should never be a point where I'm like, woe is me for any reason. And I should never let anybody feel that. And I should never dim the light that I have or that I am around people at all. And beyond that, I know that I have the capacity to feel for others and love for others so strongly, so deeply, and be consistent with it, because that is what she was. She was just a model of consistency in that. She was never fickle when it came to loving us, loving her family, loving her friends. She showed up the same every time. And I feel like going into 25, if I have any type of resolution or any type of change that I want to implement, it's that. It's just showing up consistently, regardless if I feel low or if I'm just not in the mood or whatever, because like it could always be worse. So yeah, to sum it all up, man, it's just I just want to celebrate life as much as possible. Um, I want to reap the fruits of my labor. I don't want to be on go so much, or when I am on go, I just want to enjoy it and know that you guys are waiting on me when I do return and come back, and I'm able to share these experiences and these stories and realizations and whatever. Um, and I also want to drive home the fact that we should be celebrating life even when life is no longer here. We should never be mourning. It should never be sadness. It's a beautiful thing to move forward. It's a beautiful thing for your spirit to elevate, travel, go elsewhere when your body no longer is doing the trick. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys for listening. If you stuck around this long, and if anything resonated with you, I'd love to hear you guys' experiences with this sort of thing if you have it. And I'll be back soon. I'll be back really soon. Yeah. Have a good day.
Wondering who's really seen my skeleton. Wondering who knows I lost a relative. Wondering, check up on your homies, I do it. I know we all feel lonely, not like needing persons, but feeling absence of something holy. It don't cost a thing. Speaking of it, it's new abundance. Smiling with my partner, like how the fuck would you ever own it? It don't cost a thing, and it's never easy to stay 100. Money on my mental, but never over the key component. Go against the script, I remind my mental at every moment. Hands tend to garden, it's so important what be below it. I don't walk in rooms where I know that it ain't no aura glowing. I start getting obsessed with these